All right, so if you think you need this crazy financial profile, I'm making $500,000 to get into real estate investing, you're wrong, guys. I want to talk to you. We got story time today. I want to tell you how I was able to close on one of my properties using something called an assumable loan. And I think it's probably one of the most overlooked strategies when it comes to getting approved and getting financed for real estate. And I don't see enough people talking about it. What is an assumable loan? Sometimes it's called an assumable mortgage. It's essentially just what it sounds like. I am assuming the seller's mortgage. I'm taking over the balance, taking over the terms, I'm taking over the interest rate, which was like the real powerful part for me and what made me so motivated in closing, because I was able to get a way lower rate than if I wanted to go to like a conventional loan. Even if you can get approved for conventional funding, maybe your W-2 isn't as strong. Maybe your personal credit isn't as strong. So that interest rate is just high, and the numbers don't make sense. With assumable loan, you get that low fixed rate. And I didn't have the headache of doing another loan application and going through all of that. I'm just assuming their mortgage. Now, how did I find it? This is where some people can get frustrated. This is where people give up. It was really through networking. This is why I do suggest talk to people, get out there, network, ask questions, be a student, be a sponge. Now, the seller was motivated to do it because the seller needed to sell this particular property to close on another property. I'm definitely motivated because that interest rate was crazy. So that's where the negotiation starts to happen. Okay, this is where the relationship building starts to happen right there. So even before we started talking about, showing the bank statements and can you pay for it and all of that, relationships, there has to be a bit of trust here, okay? I know trust in business, I get it. But all those things are important because before we even went through to the next step, we have to kind of build a bit of a rapport so we're not wasting anyone's time. Now, it worked for me because where I assumed the mortgage, the seller was still a little early into the mortgage. So my down payment was essentially going to be the equity that is already into that particular property. That's where people can get turned off a little bit because you might find an assumable, but they're so far into the mortgage that the down payment, or essentially the equity that you have to pay them, it could be a little rough. But even if I had to pay a little bit more, I would have still had a lower mortgage payment than what I would have had with a conventional loan, right? Like, that's crazy. That's why it's so powerful. How do you find one? How would you find assumables? Look for motivated sellers. This is where networking and building relationships are a thing. Find motivated sellers, talk, ask around, call your agent, call your lender, call this person, call that person. It's because it's not necessarily marketed. It's not really out there. Like, you don't see much of any information when it comes to assumables, but they are out there, right? I'm not the only one who gets them. You just have to do some digging. And if you can find one and it makes sense for you, I would suggest hopping on it. If you're interested in getting into real estate, this could be another route for you. If these are more videos that you want me to do when it comes to the financing aspect or maybe the business credit aspect and funding the down payment, let me know in the comments, and I got more on the way.